Good morning, afternoon, and evening from wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube. And it's time to talk about The Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 4, Day Numero Uno. I'm here with my fellow Last of Usian, D. Jose. How you doing?
Doing all right. This was a really solid episode. They're starting to pick up
Yeah,
the pace a little bit as we get closer and closer to the end of the season.
yeah, an excellent episode in my opinion.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of surprised. Yesterday's episode was always going to be the somber episode because of what happened the episode before.
hmm
But with this episode, I'm surprised that they ramped up so quickly again, considering you know what happened just not too long ago. But they really ramped it up, and it was a great episode. And I complained last week or a week before that sometime when I'm watching these episodes, I want to see the gameplay in the show. Today,
hmm
I got it. Today, I
Yeah.
got it because
You got what you.
there was a lot of yeah.
Yeah.
Go
You
on.
got what you wanted because there's a lot of elements in it where it was like, holy crap, this is just like it was in the video game. I don't know how we're gonna recap this, but like the scene where like they're running through the subway or whatever, and they gotta, get through the Fedra. It was like that was just like the gameplay. That was the best part of the
So
episode as far as
this,
action goes.
the funny thing is that I've never played the games, but I'm thinking to myself, I've played games like this where this is gameplay, like all of this is gameplay. And I'll happily talk about those moments as we get along. But for a start, we welcome Jeffrey Wright into the show, who in this opening like in the prologue of this episode, we get a really interesting scene which starts 8 years ago, or
Oh,
sorry, 11 years ago.
and I have to mention something before you go on. For us '90s and 2000s
Yeah, I
kids,
saw it. I know what you're
Josh
about. I
Peck
know.
was in the
Yeah,
fucking episode, so that was a
yeah.
mark out moment for me. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. They got
He's
Josh
lost a
Peck.
lot of weight, by the way. Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah,
guy.
looks
Once he
good.
once he stopped being a kid, and he started becoming an adult, all that timber had disappeared.
Yeah,
But it's funny because I really thought he would have a massive part in this show. But then again, he did say I totally forgot about it being set in 2018.
yeah,
And there's Jeffrey Wright, and they're talking about the voters who are ironically called that because they're citizens who have no rights. They can't vote, So and he's kind of disgusted with the people that he's with because they're mocking the people who are now under their control.
yep,
And he's got a new kid in the group as well, somebody he can mold who's not been necessarily tainted by all the things that have gone on regarding the regime he's with. And so when they stop over to talk to some of the civilians, he gets that kid out the van that they're in. Then next thing you know, he pulls out a couple of grenades and throws it into the van, killing his own people, which I didn't see coming at all.
at
You know,
all.
which was brilliant. And yeah, he kills them all. He kills all his own guys. I mean, first start, I thought that was a waste of weapons. But I guess he had to kill them somehow. But
Yep,
yeah, fair enough. And the people that he was, who had no rights, he now aligned himself with those people.
yep,
I guess, and then we jump to 11 years later, and it was very interesting. And I'm sure more things will be exposed regarding all of that. But those people he ends up joining are now the WLF, I guess.
yep.
Or they end up becoming the WLF. So yeah. And then obviously we cut to our opening credits, and then we're now with Ellie and Dina for a good portion of this show.
Yeah,
Um, and we see the relationship develop.
yeah.
So
We see
anything
the
you want to add?
Yeah, we see the relationship develop, and they traipse their way through Seattle. I have to say, once again, the presentation aspect, like the visual aspect, they nailed it. Like I can never give this show enough credit for that. Like they make it look as best as post-apocalyptic as they could, and that the attention to detail is just amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I'm mesmerized by what I'm looking at of nature reclaiming the
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 world.
city.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they're looking around, they're scavenging in Seattle, and it's called Day One because it's their first day in Seattle.
Yep.
And Dina and Ellie both have something to hide. Ellie only has to expose what she has to hide a little bit later on, but Dina initially she's hiding the fact that she's pregnant because she's been throwing up here and there, and that's not because she's finding stuff to be, not because she's like finding stuff that she finds to be sickly, because she's seen sickly shit before. She's been living in this world. But this time around, those sickly shits is activating something within her, which is making her throw up, and that's because she's pregnant. And they were in a pharmacy earlier looking for shit. I'm surprised they found anything in that fucking pharmacy, to tell you the truth. But yeah, she found some pregnancy tests and took a whole bunch of them, and we'll come out of that a little bit later. But they end up in a music store. And this is some of these things bug me, because if I'm in a music store, I'm not going to start hitting some fucking drums.
Yeah,
exposing where I am.
Yeah,
But they're doing that. But fair enough. And then there's musical instruments, and there's really classic LPs of Bob Marley and all these other amazing legends. But then Ellie finds a guitar that hasn't been harmed by the elements; it's still in its case.
Yeah, still intact.
And we find out that she has learned how to play guitar from Joel, and she plays a beautiful rendition of "Take on Me."
I actually like the acoustic version more than the original version. The acoustic version just sounds more soulful, like it has more meaning behind it when you listen to that song. And I thought that what's her name? The actress that plays Ellie did a fantastic job singing.
Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey, yeah, thank you. But yeah, I thought she did a fantastic job, and that for me was the highlight of the episode. That it was like, okay, yeah, a little piece of Joel came back to her.
Welcome, Daniel Vance. How did Ellie and Dina not know what pride was? Well, because they don't, dude. They were born in the apocalypse. Both of them are a similar age, and they were born into the apocalypse. And there's a lot of things they're not aware of. Like there are things of, like, if you're not born in that era, you just don't get it.
Yeah, like you never, like in the first season, like when they were explaining, like, oh, what's a barbecue, and then they had to explain to them like what a barbecue was, where it was like you got everybody together and there was all kind of meats and burgers and things like that, and then it was like there's this ice cream truck, and ice cream trucks would play music to little kids, and you'd run up and you'd hand the ice cream man your change and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Put the guitar back in the case with silicone packets, you heathen. Yeah, those. The way she smelt those silicone packets, I don't get it personally, but fair enough. Regardless, that was a nice moment. Dina was obviously kind of mesmerized by her voice and her music playing, and they end up spending. I think, well, they know that they're close to Abby, because they see WLF satellites and stuff like that. But Dina, this is what she's showing her smarts, and Abby's showing her ignorance, because Ellie wants to go straight in there, but Dina's saying, look, they got high ground on us. It's the daytime. People can see that sign. If we can see that sign, that means they can see us. And we are obviously an easy target, being below them and stuff like that. We have to do this at night.
Yeah, because because during the daytime, when you're out trying to do that kind of thing, you're essentially naked, so to speak. Like, you're naked and they can see you, and all it takes is a sniper just to pick you off a couple shots. That's it. You're done. So yeah, at night they'll have a harder time seeing you. And given the fact that there's like not night vision goggles and the technology that we have now in this post-apocalyptic world, is going to work out better for Ellie and Dina in the long run to try to make it past the WLF.
Exactly, and then they see a building that they can enter to go to get closer, and they see a broken window. They figure out how to climb in there, and they do climb in there. And this is where it starts to become. This is where this show starts to become gameplay. From that particular moment, because they're moving about, checking things out, and there's dead people everywhere. Some of them have been like this one guy, he had like a whole bunch of fucking arrows in him, you know, and then they see people hanging and swinging from the ceilings and stuff like that, and then they notice that some people are coming, and then that's when they take cover, and that's just like an element from a game.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Take
they
cover,
had
and
to
then
go. They had to go full stealth, which is what I liked. I liked that attention to detail where it was like, all right, the Fedra or whoever were coming in, and they were like, all right, we got to hide. Like, we cannot be out in the open like this. And they hid for pretty much a long time in the majority of this episode. It was a lot of stealth elements in it.
From those guys, but then, like, you know how it is, like, okay, there's the bad guys, they're facing that way, then lights are that way. That means I can move now. You know what I mean? And that's just like it is in a video game, which I really liked.
Yep.
You know, and then Ellie obviously heads for the stairs, and then one of the bad guys goes towards the stairs and finds Ellie there, and Ellie tries to take him down, and then Dina comes upstairs as well and shoots the guy, and that by that time they've made about a noise, but they've taken out two of the bad guys. And then they shoot the window, shoot the glass, and they start heading out. And they end up going through a door which was completely blocked by bricks, but there was a small enough hole amongst those bricks for them to crawl through, which would be big enough for them, but too narrow for the adults. And so they go through that, and then they end up at some sort of subway station or train station.
Yeah, train station. Yeah, basically same thing.
Does Seattle have a subway?
Fuck if I know. I don't. Not that I don't know, because I've never been to Seattle, so I wouldn't know.
Fair enough. Well, that's when Dina, because she's very astute. I mean, she starts picking up not only on the sound of the guys chasing them, but she starts to hear the infected.
Yep.
And she's like doing this. Okay, that's one of them. And then she hears a different sound. That's another one, and another one, and another one. And shit. Yeah, there's at least 5, but we find out there's more than 5. There's probably about 500.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You know, so, and like I said, there's nothing more scarier to me than zombies that can run at you. You know what I mean? And first of all, the bad guys, they themselves get swamped by all these zombies. They just, you know, like their guns are not good.
Oh, they get wrecked. Yeah, they get wrecked. I mean, you got a squad of maybe like 6 or 7 of them. Versus like 500, like you said, yeah, there's no chance. You might pick off maybe 5 if you're lucky. But you're not surviving it.
And once again, this is where it becomes like the video game again, because you have to escape from the infected. So like they climb up on top of the train, then they go inside the train, and then you see them. You know, the infected are coming after them, and at the same time they're like smashing on the glass and stuff like that. There's not much time until they break in, and they start.
But they get back cornered. That's what happens. They get back cornered, and Ellie gets bitten again for the third
not just
time.
Before I get to that, though, they end up at a door, and the door's closed, and then you realize no, you have to climb up and get out that way. And I'm thinking to myself, that's such a video game. This is so video game right now. Like all of this is video game, and then they climb the fence, and you know that fence is not going to be strong enough to hold them, and they have to get through the rotating thing. And that's when Ellie gets bit, and then now she has to reveal her secret. So Dina's got her secret of being pregnant, and now Ellie revealing and have to reveal her secret.
They managed to get the hell out while you see the swarm of the zombies taking out the Fedra, which I thought was a beautiful part of the scene. You know, you see all these infected.
Was it the Fedra or the WLF?
The Fedra guys are the guys that are dressed like the military.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then, we've skipped over stuff. So, meanwhile, Isaac, gets this Seraphite, as they call him, and he's got him chained up and naked. And he's like, all right, back in my day, to impress a woman, you used to have to cook for him. And he's cooking like this vat of like oil or some such shit. And he just tortures this dude. And I was like, man, Jeffrey Wright, he killed it in his role. He's the MVP of the episode for me. Easily.
I knew when the way he was talking. So the way he was talking, I thought, somebody's getting fucked here. I've seen this sort of style before, talking about how amazing these pots and pans are and stuff like that. It's, I feel like this has got like a Tarantino vibe to it. And somebody's getting fucked. And I felt that during the course of that particular moment. Now, the person he's torturing was a Scar guy.
Yeah, Scar. You can call him that. Yeah.
And he was totally naked. If you watch other YouTube channels now, the ones who like complain about any black person or woman being in the episode and thinking that their existence alone makes it work, they're going to complain about this guy's dick being on show for a fucking long time.
Yep.
You know what I mean, I don't give a fuck about that. If anything, it kind of exposed the heinousness of Jeffrey Wright's character. Like, he had this guy totally exposed as down to his fucking bare bones.
Yep.
So it made everything more fucking shocking.
And it made everything more realistic from a torture sequence standpoint.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to torture a guy, you're going to take everything from him.
Before I continue talking about a couple of things from Daniel Vance here, CGI bullet ricochet bothered me. Yes, I have to be honest with you. CGI blood and bullets, they're very noticeable now. They're not done. They need to work on that a little bit. Personally, I get what you're saying. The makeout scene, which is better. I had a hard time believing Dina wouldn't have more questions about Ellie's. Yeah. I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, but back to Jeffrey Wright. He obviously knows what he wants. It was the Seraphites, they're called.
Yep.
Yeah, he wants to know when their next attack's going to happen. This guy's a proper religious fundamentalist. The one he's fucking over. But this is the funny thing. Like, it's kind of shown that Jeffrey Wright's character hasn't learned a damn thing from what he did 11 years ago.
Mm-mm.
Like, he's kind of letting history repeat itself. Like, he's fucking people over, and he's not trying to benefit society. He's causing factions and he's torturing people. He's not helping people who need help. He's fucking them over.
Yeah, he's kind of like Negan from Walking Dead. I got serious Negan vibes from him.
I got some serious Walking Dead vibes from the moment he threw those fucking bombs in the fucking.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, this motherfucker is Negan, like, all over again, like just fucking over his own people.
He's just not as charismatic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. So but yeah, he got frustrated with this dude. He wasn't spilling the beans after burning him and torturing him and stuff like that. And I'm surprised he never threw boiling oil on him or anything like that. And he basically told the guy, look at you. We have automatic weapons. We have hospitals and stuff like that. What do you guys have? You have bolt action rifles and hammers. Or something like that, like we're far more superior than you. We're going to kill you all.
And then he was like, your religion is bullshit. Is basically what he tells him before he kills him. Like, he was like, even your own people in your religion believe that your religion is bullshit, and that's what he basically told him. Like, the person you pray to is just that, a person. She's not like a mythical god and shit like that. And I was like, damn, this guy goes there, and I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it too. Like a modern day version of Joseph Smith.
Yep.
So yeah, but his frustration gets the better of him, and Jeffrey kills the dude, and we also see the guy outside the kitchen, the one he recruited from 11 years ago. He's kind of like fully on Jeffrey's side now, So yeah, that was a good moment as well. But yeah,
it was.
It kind of shows you who you're fucking with. But back to Ellie and Dina. After they escaped the subway, I like that moment once they got through the barriers. Like, that's it, the infected are stuck there. There's no way they're getting through that.
Yep.
So they were able to escape, and then they ran into a building, like some sort of hall.
Yep.
And now Dina, like, because Ellie sacrificed herself to stop Dina from getting bit. Now Dina thinking, shit, Ellie, I'm gonna have to take you out. You're infected, and then Ellie had to explain to her, "No, I'm immune." Like, how convenient.
I'm immune. Look at this shit, and then she just goes like this, and then it was like, then they start, and then she's like, "Ellie, I'm pregnant," and then they started making out, and I'm like, okay, the pacing of that felt rushed, so I gotta agree with Daniel Vance. I'm like, they could have paced that scene a little bit better if I could give it a constructive critique.
Yeah, considering how they went with it, because what I've heard about the episode compared to the game is that Ellie and Dina were already pretty much an item in the game. So I think in a way that they tried to just catch up with that in the show and stuff like that. But yeah, she finds out that Dina's pregnant. Dina finds out that Ellie's is immune after her weight. I like the way when Ellie woke up, and she went like that.
Yeah, and then she was like,
"No, I'm not infected with water."
Yep.
And we don't see Dina's face at all because the way the shot they're doing with the torch, making sure the light is just, not exposing her face whatsoever because it's all on Ellie. It was great stuff.
Yeah.
And then eventually, they finally do the deed and all of that, and we find out that Dina goes both ways. And even during the apocalypse, she was born in the apocalypse, that even her own mother would say to her, "It doesn't matter if you like girls and boys. You're only supposed to like boys."
Yep.
You know what I mean? So yeah, Dina goes both ways, and so them two are proper getting it on, and and this is the thing now, because this is the moment now, in my opinion, where Ellie should think to herself, "You know what? This shit ain't worth it." Like, finally, Dina is with me. She's pregnant. She's gonna have a kid. I'm gonna be in this kid's life.
Yep.
Is what we're doing right now, my revenge for Joel, is it worth it? Is it worth fucking everything up that we have right here?
And that's going to be the moral conflict that you're going to see throughout the rest of the show. Throughout the rest of season 2 and 3, we will be coming back to this, because it's going to be a thing of, is the cycle of violence really worth it in the end? That's going to be the moral compass dilemma that there's going to be, and it's going to be in play going forward. So that's going to be the repeated theme throughout the rest of the show: is it worth it?
During that speech, all I could think of was Vietnam. Big powers often lose because of their arrogance.
Yeah, when Isaac was talking. Yep.
Yeah. This setup caught my eye. Thank you very much. I'm Rosie Parker. I'm Rose Parker, and I'm Zam, and he's Jose. Yeah. And so when they wake up the next day, like I said, I think this is where she showed the pregnancy kits by saying, "Look, this is how I know I'm pregnant." She showed like 4 of them. And this is how you have to operate. Yeah. Oh no, we don't want any improvement.
Nope.
No, thank you.
Nope.
We can't offer you any business, I'm afraid. But we're small, we're tiny. But yeah, so she finds out, goes, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad."
Yep.
I guess Ellie thinks of herself as the man in their relationship, if that's the case. Even though but don't get me wrong, because I know some people might be upset by this. I don't want to assume that just because they're a lesbian couple, they still have to have male and female gender roles. I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be like that, but regardless. And like I said, that was the moment where Ellie should have thought, "Let's just go back."
Yeah.
I mean,
it could have ended right there. It could have ended right there. You could have ended it with them just going back to Jackson, and then they try to rebuild what is left of Jackson, and then they live as happily as ever as they can be.
They have a responsibility to Jesse as well. That's his kid.
Yeah, that's his kid. Yep.
Yeah, you can't be like, it's fucked. But they are young, they're immature and stuff like that. Regarding as I said, sorry, I already brought this up regarding the pride and stuff like that. Yeah, like they don't know what that is. Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up again. I do apologize. But yeah, they start hearing some explosions.
Yep.
What was all that about? Those explosions? Do you know?
Those explosions were, I think, Fedra and the Seraphites, I think, were getting into it, and casualties had to happen. So now what you're going to see is it's about to be a war zone in the next episode. They're about to pick the pace up because we're getting close. We've got 3 to go before the end of the season.
In Seattle, there's 3 factions. Then is there the WLF, Fedra, and the Seraphites.
Seraphites, yeah, it's about to be. They're about to be getting ready to go through it, because I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Abby for the rest of this season. We might see her. Maybe next week is going to be the flashback episode of like Abby and her dad and Owen. Because from the game they did that. They kind of cut through. If not, they're going to save that for season 3. We still
have more Pedro Pascal in flashbacks, and I'm surprised we haven't got them yet. I think like sometimes when you think just, oh no, we're going to progress the story, but no, they'll throw in something very left field, and I feel we might be getting that. Not in the penultimate, not in the last episode, but
the episode before the last episode, or this next episode is going to be one of those.
Yeah, one of those. I think we're going to get a Pedro Pascal flashback,
Yep.
or something like that. So people will be thinking, "Oh no, I can't wait for next week's episode. So and so is going to happen." But boom, no, we're not going to give you
Nope.
that. We're going to give you
Nope.
this instead.
They're
It's
going to do what
totally,
South Park does.
yeah,
They're going to be like,
yeah,
yeah, we're going to give you Terrence and Phillip. No, we ain't. No, we ain't.
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
I wouldn't be surprised if, like, they're like, you see Ellie and Dina, like, make their way through, and then something happens to one of them, and then, boom, it's a flashback episode to Ellie and Joel and Tommy, and that's pretty much it. And then, they go into, like, okay, we need to go, pick up strings for your guitar, because that happens in the game. So in order for them to pick up the strings for the guitar, they're going to have to fucking traipse through. So that's what you're going to see with Ellie and Joel, or you're going to see Ellie and Joel celebrate Ellie's birthday. It's going to be one of those, because there are multiple flashbacks throughout the fucking game.
Well, there was a moment where I think Ellie mentioned, because she had some knowledge on some space exploration and shit like
Yep.
that, NASA or something like that. And I think Joel, what I've heard, might take Ellie to a space center.
Yeah,
And
they go to the and this is spoilers for people, but you guys don't give a fuck, because if you haven't played the game by now, it's kind of on you. Yeah, what's going to happen is you're going to see in one of the episodes, there will be at least 2 flashback episodes if they don't combine everything in one.
I think they'll combine it.
I think so too. I think what they're going to do is they're going to start with, like, Ellie and Joel getting strings for the guitar, because he's like, I'm going to teach you how to play the guitar. And then it's going to go to Ellie and Joel going to the space station or the museum, and that's where the episode will end, as far as it being a flashback episode. Then we continue on as normal. So I think that's what you're going to get. If not next week, the following week, it's coming. So you will see Pedro Pascal at least one more time.
Yeah, at least, I agree. But they see that bombing, by the way, and then they have to make a decision, both Ellie and Dina, and they hold hands and stuff like that. But like I said, like they have escaped danger on several occasions. Like eventually, like it's just you know what, hedge your bets. You're never going to get this lucky all the. I mean, they will, because they got plot, especially like Ellie. She's got plot armor.
Yep.
But hedge your fucking bets. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just go back home.
Yeah, I would cut it now. I would just call it now while you can.
Yeah, exactly.
But as you're going to see, violence leads to nothingness, because that's what's getting ready to happen.
Exactly. I'm not sure. It's really weird. I was expecting more Abby episodes, and I'm not so sure now, because there's only 7 episodes in this series. We're already on episode 4.
It's going to be season 3. I think they're saving Abby for 3.
Yeah, and
we'll start to see things from her perspective. We will not be seeing much of Ellie in season 3. Maybe in 1 or 2 episodes, but that's it. Yeah.
Got 3 episodes left. One of them will be dedicated to Joel. Yep. I think both. Remember, it's an hour-long episode, so I could easily see both those elements of the guitar strings and the space center being in one episode.
Yeah.
Or they might merge it.
Yeah, if they're smart, that's what they do. They'd make it a whole entire Joel, Ellie, and Tommy episode,
where like they're looking for guitar strings and they end up in the space center. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. It's funny they're looking for guitar strings. Just find a fucking guitar. That'd be a lot easier. But okay. All right. So
let's rank it.
Let's rank it. I had a good time with this episode, and like I said, it gave me everything I wanted, because as I said before, my complaint is that having dialogues from cutscenes is very lazy. You're not really writing a script. You're just copying the video game like for like.
Mm-hmm.
But adding the gameplay elements into the show is what I want.
Yeah, it took us a whole fucking season to get it too, because we did not get that much last season.
And there was so much of this episode where, and once again, this is somebody who's a gamer who hasn't played this game, but I could tell that's gameplay. That's gameplay. That's gameplay. That's gameplay. I can see it from in various ways, and I very much appreciated that. So it's funny. Daniel Vance gives it an 8 out of 10. He said he had issues. 8 out of 10 is a fucking good mark.
Yeah,
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I was going to give it an 8 myself, but I thought to myself, you know what? I'm just praising this so much. Yeah. Give it a 9.
It's gonna get a 9. I mean, honestly, I think until season 3, this is the best action-packed episode you're probably gonna get. Not if you don't count the fucking siege on Jackson and shit like that. Like, those are gonna be the 2 episodes out of everything that you'll see this entire season that you'll remember. You'll remember when Joel died, and you'll remember this episode. And you might remember the flashback episode that's inevitably coming. But yeah, 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, exactly. So next week, are we going to get an Abby episode, or are we going to get a Joel flashback? Are we continuing with Ellie and Dina? Who fucking knows? But that Joel flashback is definitely happening. That's for sure. Are they going to make it an entire episode? I'll be shocked if they don't. You know what I mean? I'll be more shocked if they don't.
It needs to be. Yeah, I think it needs to be because Pedro Pascal will not be in season 3. I don't think he's coming back. I think we might see him in one more little flashback at the very, very end of the show, but his time here is pretty much done. He'll probably have about one more episode, and that's it.
He has too much to do to be in The Last of Us. He's the Mandalorian if they still keep doing that, and obviously he's now a part of the MCU.
Yep.
Excuse me. This guy's fucking been in everything. You know, he's been in DC, but he was in Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah.
You know, people forget that where he played that Donald Trump type character. He's in the MCU now as Reed Richards. He's been in Star Wars. You know, he's been in fucking Last of Us and all of that. He's been in Gladiator. He's been in so much shit now. It's unfucking believable. Game of Thrones. How can I forget that?
Yep.
You know, the guy's been in, like nearly all the big fucking franchises he's been a part of. Yeah, I'm sure there's an episode of him in Star Trek somewhere if we look hard enough. He's part of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as well back in the day, in the 90s when he was a younger man. So yeah. All right. Yeah, so nine from both of us. Roll on episode 4. So keep an eye out for us here at NerdTube. Is you gonna be with us for Dark Side of the Ring?
Yeah, I think Dark Side is going to be Billy Jack Hayes this week. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
It's going to be the craziest episode this season. And then I think next week I'm taking the week off because I think it's Daphne. And that's the one where I'm like, I will not do it because Dark Side has one episode a season that I'm just like, this is too much. I can't. So yeah, because her story is just so fucking sad that I'm like, I just can't watch her episode.
Fair enough. Well, keep an eye out for that, as well as Andor and other stuff we're reviewing. And by the way, I've done a nice review of a drink which I bought from a Cafe Nero here in the UK. Check it out on our Shorts channel. Anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube.